We can't get away from Islam on the news today. What do you know about Islam? Let's look at some basic facts. In this video, we'll be taking an overview of these key questions. What is Islam all about? Who is its central figure? What do Muslims believe? How does Islam function? How does Islam regard non-Muslims? And what impact will Muslim assertions have on Australian civil society? First thing to understand is that Islam does not mean peace. It means submission to Allah and what Muslims believe is Allah's law, the Sharia. Unlike other religions, Islam asserts a control over the whole of life. It's not just a compartment of life, but the totality. It doesn't recognize a division between religion and the secular life, as the West does with the separation of church and state. It seeks a totalitarian control over life. It rejects Western democracy as ruled by men and not by God. Islam divides humanity into two: believers who know and submit to Islam, and non-believers who are ignorant and who have yet to submit to Islam, including the non-Muslim people of Australia. It divides countries into what it calls the world of peace, countries where Islam prevails, and the world of war, non-Muslim countries, including Australia. Peace, in the Islamic sense, comes only when the entire world submits to Islam. Until the whole world submits, Islam divides it into two: believers who do submit and non-believers, including the almost 98% of Australians who are not Muslim. There are two main divisions of Islam, Sunni and Shia. Islam seeks to micromanage people's lives. It has rules regulating a bewildering number of things which make it far more than what most people think of as a religion. Look at the list here. Note even regulations on treatment of Christians and Jews. Islam has only one founding prophet, Muhammad, who lived for the period 570 to 632 AD, and it has three major books, its scriptures. Muslims believe that the Quran is the words of Allah, unalterable, uninterpretable, and properly understandable only in Arabic. It was supposedly dictated or revealed to the illiterate Muhammad by the Archangel Jibreel between December 609 and when he died in 632. It's about as long as the New Testament and about 1/10 the length of the whole Bible. It was compiled after Muhammad's death from oral traditions, and it's organized not by chronology or time of so-called revelation, but by the length of chapter or surah. But by reorganizing it in proper chronological order, you can see the evolution of the doctrine. The core messages are: everyone should submit to Allah, and everyone in the world should imitate Muhammad in every way. The Seerah is the official biography of Muhammad, compiled by Ibn Ishaq and two of his students in the 8th century. It's called in Arabic the Sirat Rasul Allah, the story of the Prophet of Allah. The Seerah makes up 26% of the total volume of Islam's sacred texts, against 14% for the Quran and 60% for the two main Hadith collections. The Hadiths are the collected sayings and teachings of Muhammad, reporting his alleged words, deeds, actions, tacit approvals, and circumstances. Hadith means news in Arabic. There are several major collections, large in volume, much bigger than the Quran. The Bukhari and Muslim collections are regarded as the most firm or reliable. These alone make up 60% of the total volume of the Islamic scriptures. And the trilogy is made up of these three texts together: the Quran, the Seerah, and the Hadith. These are the revered core teachings of Islam. Islamic law, the supposed divine law, derived from the teachings and example of Muhammad, as set out in the Quran, the Sirah and Hadiths, is called Sharia, the Sharia. It's codified in manuals, especially one called The Reliance of the Traveller, which was compiled in the 14th century. Sharia deals with crime, politics and economics, as well as personal matters such as sexual intercourse, hygiene, diet, prayer, everyday etiquette and fasting. Interpretations of Sharia vary between cultures, but in its strictest definition, it is considered the infallible law of God. Sharia regards human lawmaking, as in Western democracy, as blasphemy. Sharia is code for the whole of life. Only under Sharia can Muslims practice pure Islam. So its introduction into Kafir society, that is, the society of you and me, is the cornerstone for Islam to overthrow the Kafir world, including Australian society. Islamic doctrine is about political power. Not just spirituality, it's about political power. All Muslims are the slaves of Allah, and non-Muslims are the enemies of Allah. Muslims have two ways of treating Kafirs. Firstly, as benign neighbours, because Muslims are in a weaker position, like for example in Australia, where up until recently they've only been 2% of the population or less. And secondly, with abuse and sanctions, because Muslims are in a stronger position. You're seeing that a lot more in the United Kingdom and much of Europe. As I said before, Islam means submission. Muslims submit to Allah as his slaves, and the Kafir must submit to political Islam and to Muslims as their slaves. A dhimmi is a Kafir who lives within Islamic influence and control and submits to Muslim supremacy. He's not quite a slave and not quite a citizen in his own country. The Copts in Egypt and Christians in Pakistan and some other countries are subject to all manner of discrimination as dhimmis.